Hi, folks. Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I am joined with Cliff High once again, long awaited. I haven't talked to you in a long time, Cliff, and I got to tell you, I'm honored to have you back on. I love our conversation. I miss our conversations, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you're one of the mad. I would like to say geniuses out there that I consider like a mad scientist type of intellect. I love having you on the show, man. So thank you for coming back.
Sure. No worries, guy. No worries.
Um,
Glad to do it.
I've had so many guests on my show, both on YouTube and on my back channels, and I know this is going to go pretty deep. But it looks like we're right in the smack dab middle of this war. It looks like we're it's really starting to escalate. It looks like there's no slowing down. Both sides are going all in. And I know you've created that software. Are you still using that software? What can you tell us, Cliff? I'll let you have the floor. What are you seeing pan out right now? What are you seeing happening? What's going on? What from your
Okay.
point
So
of view?
here's the thing. Um, all right. So my software has a certain bit of alarm showing, right? Okay. So my software has a range of values for building and release tension. Okay, so there's two different types of emotional tension: building tension, where you're getting ready to fight, and then the release, where you're releasing it, right? So, like Carrie Cassidy the other day was releasing all over you. Okay, so anyway,
A
uh,
reminder.
yeah. So here's the thing. So the top end of my scale is of the delta between the building tension and the release tension is 585. It sometimes is only, the difference is only in the threes. Okay. Now these are just numbers. The numbers are not in and of themselves meaningful because they change slightly as I adjust numbers on the words. But what's important is the level of the range has been consistent since more or less consistent. I've had to enlarge the range a couple of times since, say, like 2001. All right.
Okay.
So now we have a situation where the delta is not within that range. It's out here at 81 point something. Okay. So 13 times higher than our usual.
That is the tension in which are you talking about? Like you can tell by the chatter on the internet, correct? That
Correct. My software is going through and picking up language that's being leaked, picking up the emotions, and it gets it right. And it gets it like that. And we'd have building tension, and then you'd have release of that language, right? And so what we're looking at now, this is release. That's like an outpouring, grief, suffering, wailing, all of that kind of shit, right? It could also be happiness. Okay, that's release. Partying, let's party. That's release language. Now, right now, it's hovering at 81 something. And and so this would be like looking like building tension, release tension, building tension, release tension, building tension, release tension.
wow.
Right, right. So here's the thing.
Is there a way to tell between the two, between the release? Is
Yeah,
it
it's release language that is dominating.
is there like what kind of release it is? Is there a way?
Um, I don't think it's a party. Okay. So I think it's pretty negative. I get confirmation on my stuff by watching people that are psychic, that have proven records as like remote viewers or psychic intuitives or whatever, right? And all over the internet, no matter what language, Iranian, Russian, Estonian, Albanian, all of the psychics are picking something up. All right. And my buddy, Dick Allgaier, and I'm going to talk to him tomorrow and we're going to do a video on this. He and his remote viewing group are also picking up something way big. Now, here's the thing with this. I'm not going to get into the details on his, but he has talked about this on JC's, on Beyond Mystic channel. They had a remote viewing, Dick and his group. Everybody goes to remote view and they all get this same subject, but it's nowhere near what the question was. And so everybody thinks, huh, we screwed up, something went wonky. So they do it again, and it happens again. Everybody gets the same thing, but it's nowhere near what the question they were being asked. So basically what happens is like this. If you're a psychic and you go out and you want to, or a remote viewer, okay, so remote viewers are like, in my opinion, they are the black belts of psychic. Okay, they're trained, all right? So they train themselves in a martial arts fashion to get better at their craft, whereas a psychic just goes along, right? And doesn't really know. They never examine it and so on.
We're honed in.
Correct. Okay, so the remote viewers here are saying that they want to go and look at this target. Here's the target. And that's where they're being sent by the remote viewing tasking. But their view is always pulled over this way no matter what they do. Okay, and it's because this thing is so damn big that it overshadows their ability to get at that.
That would some kind of event.
Correct. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll let Dick characterize it tomorrow in his group and stuff, right? But conceptually, this is the same thing that's happening with that 81 number. Okay, we're going to have some event that's going to have so much release language following it that it's going to dominate everything. And so I'm saying that this is between 3 and 13 times as emotive as 9/11.
Holy shit. And bigger than Lahaina. So
Yes.
if you really think about this, we've kind of got them pigeonholed right now with Biden and everything that's happening with the House hearings. The walls are closing in on them. They're going to start playing. You don't think so?
They don't care about that. They don't care about that. That's a minor little ripple to them.
But they have to make some kind of big move, correct? They have to make.
No. Okay, so in my understanding, that would not be accurate. Okay, that what's driving everything is the dollar, the money. Okay, and so here's the deal. 9/11 was done to cover a financial situation. All of the financial records that would have exposed all of the deep state and everything were in Building 7. And what happened to it? Magically, it disappeared, right? As along with all the records. And we had that event that brought in the Patriot Act. So I would not be surprised right now that there was some dictatorial law that 2,000 pages of crap that they're trying, that's already ready to go for whatever this event is. Okay, I believe that it's my thinking that this event is going to be triggered in the future by events that are going on now relative to the financial situation, and that in our Great War, the Great Awakening, the politics in the United States, all of that is a minor little battlefield. Okay, it's not the main deal. So if this were World War II, and whatever this is that's coming is the equivalent of like D-Day, all of the political stuff that we've gone through in the last year are the little skirmishes in Northern Africa between Rommel and the various British generals. Okay, they're big deals, but they don't really alter the nature of the war. All of that outcome is for sure already.
So it could be some kind of a financial apocalypse. Like
well, no. So no, it wouldn't be like that. Okay, so the financial apocalypse is already happening. So this is a little tricky. So stick with me on this. All right. Hyperinflation is not an economic or a fiscal thing. Okay, you're going along, you got inflation at 40%, and then in 1 month, inflation could jump to 100 or 120%. Okay, it doesn't happen because of how much money they're putting into the system at that stage. It is entirely a psychological wave that sweeps through the population where they say, holy shit, this is not worth toilet paper. I've got to spend this thing right now and get some level of value out of it because tomorrow it's going to be worth less. So if it took one of these to buy a sheet of toilet paper today, it'll take 2 or 3 of them to buy a sheet of toilet paper tomorrow. So I'd better spend it today. That's what hyperinflation is. It's this emotion, this tension, this building tension value around the value of the currency. And it just triggers. And the whole population within days, because one person starts panic spending, buying everything they can as though they were suddenly trying to hoard things, right? And the grocery store owner sees this, Mrs. Jones, why are you buying 3 carts full of steaks? That kind of thing, right? Exactly, panic buying, and the panic starts to spread. I believe, and so the panic ultimately spreads up into the financial people. All right. And so they can't have the people that the Federal Reserve cannot have a hyperinflationary episode work through the population of the US. They could sort of deal with it if it worked through dollars that are outside of our country, right? They could manage that a little bit. It would cause big problems here. We'd get up to like maybe 60% inflation, but somewhere between like where we're at now, which is like 40% inflation, and 60% inflation is the potential to trigger over to hyperinflation, where everybody, as soon as you get paid, you spend it all that day. Okay, this has huge ramifications for a system that is run on credit, credit cards, and electronics. Because at the end of every month, when people got paid with paychecks or the end of every week, there's going to be a massive spike of spending. And then everything dries up in the rest of that week. And it really alters the nature of the social order. So the powers that be, the Federal Reserve, the mother weffers, they're fighting among themselves all the time. Our Federal Reserve right now is caught in a quandary. Do they try and save the Federal Reserve note and thus themselves, or do they pay attention to what Klaus Schwab and the mother weffers want to do? It is my thinking that the upcoming hyperinflationary wave that could hit the US has to be offset in a 9/11 kind of a fashion. They need an event to try and cover their ass. So I don't think we're talking about banks failing. I don't think we're talking about digital anything. I think we're talking about a physical attack, and I believe it'll probably be directed energy weapons because of the efficiency of that attack. Okay, so if we look how long, all right, so there was all kinds of magic. Okay, so the Khazarian mafia employed thousands of Jewish witches prior to 9/11, and they worked the magic, right? And they worked it up for the entire month of August and for the first 10 days of September. We watched this, those of us that tracked this shit online, we watched this happen. We didn't know what it was going to lead to, but it led to 9/11. Okay, so it is my thinking.
Was at work before 9/11. They were going all in for that. Okay.
Correct. So they're trying to work the spiritual side, the financial side, the psychological side, the war side, all of it together in a package. This is how you have to think holistically, right? And so they, in my opinion, they will have an event and they will try and capitalize on and control as much of their problems as they can with this one event. But to my way of thinking, all right, so my way of thinking is that things are not static over time, that humans learn. Humans have an experience, we harden with time, right? And so if you beat me every day for a week about the shoulders, my shoulders are going to get pretty tough, right? On that next week, they'll be sore. 2 weeks after that, you won't be able to beat my shoulders to any good effect at all because I will have toughened up. This is the nature of our reality. Okay, so my thinking is that this was 9/11. And that kept them going until 2020 on their plan, right? But we can't have another 9/11. Our emotional upheaval and stuff is way the hell up here already.
Right. Whatever
So
higher than that.
correct. In order for them to control us, they need to have something, as I was saying, between 3 and 13 times higher than 9/11 to try and extend that out into 2024. Now, bear in mind, look how long they got with 9/11. We're up so high that all they're hoping to do is to control one more year. So you see their desperation.
Almost nuclear, probably.
There you go. Now let's discuss that. Okay, so I'm not of the opinion that they can do a nuke. All right, and here's why. In order for a nuke to be used, they would have to involve several thousands of people. All right, and they're not in a position now where they can go around and clean up those several thousands of people afterwards that they don't talk. And look at how shaky everything is in terms of their ability to ensure silence, right? You got all these whistleblowers, people that used to be down and dirty. They ain't getting paid, so now they're talking, right?
Right.
And everything, and they can't be bribed anymore because the paper is no good because it's all interconnected and the paper doesn't have any purchasing power, right? And so what if you get $1 million? Big deal, you know. That's just not going to keep you silent that long, especially at this level.
This goes along with 107's event of Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0.
Okay, let's stop right there, though. Okay, so that was nukes. Now, here's the thing about nukes. A small nuke, not like suitcase, but like a small nuke that could be used on a city requires a big airplane, it requires a crew, it requires fuel. There's paper trails left everywhere. There's people involved. There's airports. There's the potential for security. That all is going to come back and bite them in the ass. And they're so desperate to control through this year that they don't want to deal with any kind of fallout in between from whatever the hell there is they're doing. And it's a cost issue. Okay, it costs you real money to bribe several thousands of people, even if they don't know why they're being bribed or what's going on. It is easier to have a screen in China, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, the United States, even somebody sitting behind a screen pushing a button on a drone that releases a series of energy weapons. There's a cost to this, but it's far less than thousands of people loading a nuke. It's only maybe 50 people involved.
Wait, you're talking about direct energy weapons.
Correct.
But like, so what we saw in Lahaina, but they had to blame climate change on that. Okay.
No. Okay, so here, track me on this. All right, so there's 3 types of directed energy weapons. All right, there's the sonic one, and we're not going to really deal with that at this time. But there's the lasers, and then there's the high power microwaves. Now, the lasers are part of the process, but the damage is done by the high power microwaves. The high power microwaves, though, have a failure.
Oh, I would think I'm getting the picture here. Are you talking about a mass die-off of people with the vaccine?
I don't know. It's going to be really magnificently violent. But here's my thinking. Okay. All right. So what I think they're going to do, because of the nature of what I've got in my data, and maybe I have yet to talk to Dick, and I have yet to even watch his video that he sent me, where on their debriefing. They're so kind to do that. Dick and his crew are just such nice guys. But anyway, so here's what I think that's going to happen. We'll just say that down here there's a valley, and this is the target. In the place that I think this is going to happen, there's a pretty consistent cloud cover. What I think they're going to do is I think they're going to use a laser, and they're going to disrupt the cloud cover with the lasers. Lasers are a clear view energy weapon. They don't work through clouds, right? But lasers can be used to remove a cloud cover such that your high power microwave can beam in through it. Because if a high power microwave starts beaming in and hits a high enough water level in the clouds, it does all of the damage and stuff up there. So my thinking, because of some of the stuff I've got in the data, is that this X right here, okay, so my description on this is this valley and mountains and other things that make me think of Cheyenne Mountain,
Shit.
Denver Airport, and one other place I'm not going to go into. Okay, so let's just assume that I'm correct about this, that it's going to be one of these mountainous places. So I'm thinking that this attack that's going to take place is planned right now for central US. But they're going to blame it on a natural event. But it's not going to be climate change. It's going to be a meteor.
It's going to be a system, everything.
They're going to take.
I think.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so my data sets have provided me hints, and that's all it is. Okay, just hints. Just made me psychically tune in and think of these 3 particular places: Cheyenne Mountain and the Denver Airport. Then there's this one other one that would be really, really bizarre. It has these kind of criteria in terms of what it looks like, but if they hit that one, it would destroy the internet. Okay, it would break the backbone of the internet for some period of time, especially in the US. It would slice us into regions because of the place there has this particular set of equipment, right? And so it would be really strange. It would be like
with the 10 days of darkness.
Correct. only it wouldn't be 10 days. It'd be like in the United States, it'd be like 10 years because we don't have enough replacement equipment. We don't have the people to do it. If they do this, bear in mind, down here, it's going to look like a nuke hit. Okay, because this directed energy weapon can just keep beaming on down there. Also, so grasp this high power microwave, you'll sometimes see it as HPW for just regular wave or HPM. That's what they used to destroy the 9/11 towers as they were falling. That's what caused the free fall and the dustification of the 9/11 towers. So they just sighted down on the towers, hit a button, and dissolved it on the way down. So there was 1.25 million tons of material in the towers. Do you know how much they hauled off? Do you know how much they actually hauled off? 40 truckloads. 40 truckloads of material.
Wow. What?
So where did the 1.25 million tons go? It was turned into dust and gas. And so this is what I think is going to happen. Now, if this is the Denver airport, they're after whatever the hell is underneath it. Okay, so they would just keep going and going and going and going until there was just a big smoking crater in the ground.
Because we also can say it would make sense also Cheyenne Mountain, because
Correct.
Trump shut down Cheyenne Mountain. That's basically their opposition right there. That's our stronghold.
Stop. And also, Cheyenne Mountain was connected to whatever the hell's under Maui.
Wow. So they got to take that out.
I don't know. They got to take out Cheyenne Mountain. See, I think these guys are not very sophisticated. So I wouldn't do things this way, but I'm not a bad guy. Okay. But I think they have to do something that is energetic and psychologically captivating. And the second part of it controls how much is the first part is used. They need so much energy into this that they capture our minds and hold them for a year. They want to get us into release language all, in flux so that they can move us and control us for a year.
And hit Denver would be a target. Not just the airport, the whole the whole place.
Well, there's the thing with the directed energy weapons, they spread out they're precise, but they're not like pinpoint, right? So they spread out in their effect. So just beaming it down in on the airport is probably going to do a lot of damage to the whole region. One may even affect all of Colorado for all I know. Because they got to go through. If they were going to get the Denver airport, they've got to get that huge layer on top.
This has to happen. This has to happen before the election cycle. So it has to happen between now and November of 2024.
Okay. So in my opinion, it's not connected to the elections directly. Okay. It's connected to the finances. All right. And so in my opinion, this would have to happen before April 3rd of next year. And again, in my opinion, I'm sorry?
That's what Juanito says. He says the same thing, that the timeline let me explain this. Let me just tell me if this adds up to you. The October testing of the national emergency system is October 4th. He said that lines up with about 6 months out, which would be November, December, January, February, March, April, which
right. Okay, so
it's a power number, a power time, April 4th.
Right, here's the deal about that. Okay, so that's correct. All of that's factual. There's another thing to take into consideration. These people are into the dark arts, okay, our enemies, all right? So bear in mind, we fight warlocks and witches. So I'm a shaman, okay? I know magic, I can do everything a warlock does. It's just, I got better things to do, right? So here's the thing. I know that, and I know that they must cooperate in their magic with cycles. So I'm not so sure that they would let it go beyond the first part of March. It's going to be much better for them to do it in the winter than it is in the spring. That's why things happen in the fall, right? To set us up so that they can magnify the winter effect on our minds and control us that much longer. But you know how you feel in the winter.
Right. Is it because it's so freezing? It's why would they do it in the winter?
Okay, because there's less light. All right. This is really spooky, dude. We are light beings. Okay, so if you wrap yourself up in tinfoil, not only will you overheat, you will have a fantastic experience in your pineal gland as all of your biophotons are pushed back into your body. I do not recommend this, okay? It can kill you. But it is akin to a psychedelic without taking a drug. It is that powerful. We are light beings. We react to the sun. We react to light from the stars. We react to reflected light, et cetera, et cetera. In the winter, we have so much less because of the angles of the sun and stuff, especially up in the northern hemisphere. So they're going to try and harmonize.
So what if I wrap myself in tinfoil and take a psychedelic?
Oh, you wouldn't survive. No way. No way, dude. The bigger you are, the more biophotons you extrude. Okay. So I'm sorry?
Bigger you are, is that you said, or what'd you
Yeah,
say?
yeah. The larger mass you have, the physical mass, whether it's fat or muscle, doesn't matter much. There's slight gain with muscle over fat, but you emit more biophotons. Okay. So bigger people are going to suffer the effects, have a bigger trip, so to speak, than smaller, thinner people. It's just the way it works. You're just not going to get as much of this bounce back into the pineal gland. Now, if your pineal gland is calcified, you're not going to feel very much. You just get overheated and you're going to throw up, right? And like I say, it can kill you, so don't do this. But my point being that we are light creatures. And, and look, dude, how many times have you been treated with light for your injuries? The red light pads, all of those kind of things, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, come to think of it, yes.
So, and if you were to be like up in the Northeast in the winter, how you would feel. Less light in the day. You don't care so much about the cold, but it's the light that impacts you. So I think these guys would harmonize. And so, of course, I'm thinking they're going to maybe do it before January-ish, right? Maybe it could get as far as February, but shortly thereafter, the angles don't favor them. The next time they would have an opportunity would be the next fall. I don't think they can survive that long economically.
I agree. That's too late. Juanito and I have talked about this, and I've had some other people on that this fall looks like a vertical jump in the drama. Are you seeing that as well this fall? Just because I'm saying it on
Yeah,
my program
yeah. That's
all the
that's what that release language is. Release language is Carrie Cassidy's drama that hit you the other day. She was like 9 out of 10 of her statements were release language. Yeah, that wet fish just slapping you upside the face. I mean, I could hear the blows over here while I was sweeping.
Yeah, I'm abused, Cliff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all right. I'll be
At least you heal quick.
punching times. It's all right. So so then what happens after that? So the release, so as that happens and this event, whatever this event is, what you say is going to be your theory is it could be direct energy weapon, right? That makes the most
Right.
sense. What happens? What's the aftermath of that? What do you have any kind of reading on
Oh,
that?
okay. So, all right. So they won't want it. Okay. The bad guys don't want you to know that this is part of the war. So they're going to have to do everything they can. So they are creating any warm temperatures that exist in their climate change model. That's all entirely hoaxed up, right? So we would expect a massive, massive, massive psychological operation, all focusing on this being a natural occurrence of a meteor hitting us. They may even throw, act of God. You want to impeach Biden and you get a meteor, that kind of shit. They'll do everything, just pile on the psychological crap after this supposed meteor hits us. And then they're going to get on the case and be serious about it on any blowback that people would say it wasn't a meteor.
But could it be could they play the alien card prematurely? Could they do that right now? Could that be the next thing?
That's why they were so pissed about the Congress yesterday or the other day. Okay, so they showed 2 alien bodies in the Mexican Congress, right?
Oh, Mexican, yeah.
Mexican
Mex
Congress. Right. Okay, but see, here's the thing. There was verbiage, quite a bit of verbiage coming out of the Department of Defense that was saying all this is bogus. And it's like, why does our Department of Defense give a crap about what the Mexican Congress hears about space aliens? Maybe they care because they didn't want that whole shock value to be taken away from them.
Got
right?
you.
Yes. And it's already starting to spread around the planet. People are now starting to sell space alien artifacts on eBay, that kind of thing. Not the artifacts of the space aliens, but what the humans did in carving the space aliens that they interacted with, et cetera, right?
So does this event, since you can foresee this coming, and I'm sure the white hats can, the good guys can, we all can, now my audience can, now that we see this event coming, can we stop this, or do we need to stop it, or does it need to happen?
I
Does it
don't.
have
Okay,
to happen?
so there you go, dude. That's above my pay grade. That's a question for universe. All right. So I'm a doer in the body. My job is to do shit on this planet, to learn and to die. Okay. So I'm not the thinker. I'm not the knower of information like that. So I don't know if enough of us were looking in Denver or looking at Cheyenne Mountain, would they do it? If enough of us say it's not going to be a nuke, it's going to look like a meteor, they're going to fake a meteor, they're going to do it directed energy weapons, will they do it? What's his name? Just said he isn't going to run out of Utah. What?
Um,
Yeah. Okay. So why did he do that? Because enough of us are looking at him and saying crime, crime, crime. Okay. So if that, and look at what's happened with the mother weffers themselves, the level of degradation is huge. The last
this
conference.
this is a panic move that they have to play. They have to play this card. They have no
Right.
choice.
Right. Now, it could be stopped, okay? Not necessarily by you and me directly forming a huge mass of people that are all looking at the same place, but maybe because we all get excited about something like this, maybe because we're all psychic and we're feeling something coming like this, our white hat guys pay attention and go do shit, okay? So this is kind of like the quandary that you faced the other day when Carrie was hitting you with that mackerel. All right, because she was saying that, why didn't the interceptor platform stop it? Why didn't the military stop it? Well, we don't have interceptor platforms, that for one thing. But I know, guy, I know. But anyway, though, but you see my point here, right? I don't know if this has to happen. If it happens, then we must be moved by universe to fight fiercely any psychological stuff that comes on out, because maybe we'll break them right there. Maybe so many people will know in advance that they're going to fake up a meteor that when they come on out and say, oh, look, Denver airport just got hit by a meteor, everybody and their brother is just going to erupt and it'll just be a giant riot on the internet and the planet and so on, and we'll get rid of them all.
Wouldn't they have to use the MSM to bring forth this problem? In other words, problem reaction solution. So wouldn't they probably a month before the meteor hits start putting it out on television and saying, "Ooh, it's coming. There's something," or was that
There's already been two of those,
really?
two new objects in our solar system, one from about 3 months back.
I remember Lester Holt talked about a mothership that came into our solar system.
Yeah, that's and beyond all of this space aliens and all of that, but I'm saying that there's two rocks they've identified. So maybe they've got their candidates lined up, right?
Wow. So we could be looking at some kind of catastrophe that's going to surpass 9/11.
An
And
attack, an attack. It's not a catastrophe.
an attack that they'll blame on nature. They'll have to blame it on nature, like some outside God, whatever. That will probably be an event that happens before April. We're looking.
Yes,
That's what
yes.
we're here. We're not psychic. We're just saying this is our
No,
your
no, no. We are psychic. Everybody that gets on the internet and just types shit leaks out language because they're psychic and they don't have any other way to get it out. And I pick that up. And also, I talk to people that know they're psychic, that have routines, that have rituals, or in the case of like the remote viewers, that have rigid protocols, that have formality, and that are successful and have a huge track record. And the psychics are saying some shit's coming at us. Now, I'm going to talk to Dick Allgaier tomorrow afternoon, and he'll put it up on his site at some point, right? And he will show his drawings and these kind of things as to what he's got on this. And you go watch that, and then maybe you're going to want to interview Dick Allgaier and talk to him about that from his viewpoint, right?
Did you make that connection?
Yes, I will. I will send you email. No worries. I'll tell Dick, etc. Okay. He's in Hawaii, so you got time issues. But so you need to personally ask him questions about what he saw, the formal, how he did it, etc., etc., so that you will be assured, as I am, that that he's in essence validating what I'm getting numerically. So bear in mind, what shocked me was not any particular kind of language coming through. It was the numeric sums that I run every damn time on this language in order to get the delta of the release versus tension to see if we're going to go into a building tension period or if we're going into release. Now, if I were to say it, I would suggest that an 81 level of a release value would last about a year.
Could it be a coronal mass injection? Could it be a solar flare that they blame it on?
Might be. I don't know what they're going to pick, but they're going to cause it.
Because I've seen some news on that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and so maybe maybe they use that.
Okay, see, that's a little difficult. And so here's their real problem. All right. So think of it this way. If they use a directed energy weapon and slam into Cheyenne Mountain or any place in the United States, continental United States, right? Doesn't matter where. But if they use a do and they do that, then what's Putin going to say? What are all these world leaders going to say when these fuckers say, hey, it's a meteor? Putin's going to say, no, we didn't see anything coming in. All these other places are going to say, no, it's no meteor. We don't see shit coming in. You know, you guys are lying. And Putin, he's based. He'll call them liars to their face, right? And all of us, and see, now we're at that point where they probably, in my estimation, are having ambivalence about every single move they make. And something this large is going to cause them many repeated trips to the toilet as they ponder this, right? Because it's going to release their bowels every time they think about the potential blowback on this, because it's so vulnerable to their psychological operation not working. And here's the thing. So you're a professional fighter. Have you ever had any fights that were not in a ring, not supervised?
Yeah, many.
Okay, so you know the feeling then as the situation evolves into a fight and how the language builds up in tension. And then at some point, it's no longer language, it shifts over into the physical, right? Okay, at the point that it shifts over into the physical, that's the point at which we enter into an area of the unknown. We don't know how it's going to come out, right? But we know that two things about this. There's going to be that the fight is ongoing now, and that the outcome is irreversible. You can't stop the fight in the middle and everybody go back to their positions. It's not organized that way. But so you will feel that issue of change, that state of flux go through your body. And I bet you felt it in your gut. You would feel a little bit of butterflies before you started getting moving, right? As the language is rising. Okay, so that's what's affecting them. And they've got butterflies like mad because it's going to be irreversible once they do it. And with an 81 value on my metrics, and that would go for a year, imagine what would happen. That would go for a year if we had enough normies that believed them. If there was enough control mechanisms that they could put in. What would be the other side of that 81 value in release language? Hang them.
Right. Which is going to happen anyway.
But no, there's that option. Okay, what I'm talking about is lynch mobs. Now, so I grew up in the South, okay?
Build the streets. This will be the big one.
Right. So if they do this and they're not able to get enough normies to stifle the rest of the opposition to all the bullshit they're putting out, because they need a certain mass of normies to be able to stand up to the rest of us saying, hang them, right? And if they don't, they'll be pulled out of airplanes. Their limos will be stopped on the road. People will decide I'm an assassin, I'm a hitman, and maybe they won't make it because of the security and so forth. But imagine Bill Gates having his security people having to kill people that were coming to kill Bill Gates. That's going to freak that motherfucker right out.
He'll quit. They won't put their life in danger that much. They'll be done. He'll be on his own.
Okay, so there's the problem, guy. All right, so it's estimated that 1% of the human population at any given time is a psychopath. Okay, so we have 311 millions in the U.S. That means we got 3.11 million psychopaths. So there's a lot of psychopaths. They don't react the way that, and then there's this other group. It's estimated that there's 3% of the population are sociopaths. And a sociopath, he'll go along with the psychopath. He'll kill for the psychopath, right? So So, but the sociopath, they're not wedded to this ideology that the psychopath has, and they'll flee. So I agree with you. Those people would not put their lives at risk. But I bet you Bill Gates got his security people out of that 3.1 million psychopaths. And so they would stay to fight just because of the fight, you
They're
know?
not.
Yeah. Well, no, no.
There's I get it. I totally. It's
Yeah,
the same cartels.
exactly, exactly. And so under those circumstances, you would have fierce fights from the security people around these individuals, right? But they would get whittled down, and eventually they would be killed or go away, and the individuals would be hung or shot or whatever the hell, right? And so that's what they're facing. And I think that there's a couple of people at the head of the cabal that recognize this, that they're about to reach a point of uncertainty. And that scares the absolute crap out of these guys. Now, me, as I say, I'm a shaman. I live in a world of uncertainty. I harmonize with uncertainty and irreversibility. So I don't care if my day gets disrupted and stuff intrudes and there's new actions. Okay, I had plans, but universe decided otherwise, right? And so I'm cool with uncertainty. These guys are very, very, very rigid in what they want to accomplish, how they think their lives exist, and they
That's what
can't
rituals and these types of ceremonies is to control their circumstances so they can control and stay on that rigid
control. And so I surrendered all control when I was a kid and I got into paranoid schizophrenia, right? You can't control shit at that level. So universe taught me to not care. And so I can do things that are seriously impossible for all of these for these psychopaths, right? They have to have the control, and they would melt down and just, you've seen these kind of people. They just in like the tranny fa, right? If something is out of their control, they just have a fit. They just can't do anything.
correct.
All right,
I
so
don't.
this is where we're at now. So, in my opinion, all right, so sometime back, maybe okay, so shortly after our last conversation, I went into hiatus, right? This is where I have internal things I have to do, and so I don't do videos and shit, right? I just do my audios and just let it go at that. Couple of substacks occasionally, and so maybe I was off for 3 or 4 months here this time.
Well, this time
um,
but for me, you were gone for over a year. I missed
well,
you,
there we
man.
go, okay, so it's been a while. I hadn't really thought. I've been working my ass off, dude. You wouldn't believe what I've gotten into.
I knew you were going to come around again.
Yeah, exactly. But so I'm surfaced here, and now we're ready to go on this. Now, our our enemy's ability to control us is fading anyway. I think some of the people up there know it. How desperate that's going to make them, I don't know. Will they be act out of character, so to speak, and put themselves in a situation where they deliberately invoke the uncertainty? That's my big question here. I'm of the opinion that we will still get, because it's in the data, that we'll still get the 81 release value, even if they don't do the op. All right, even if they don't hit us with the directed energy weapons, there's reason to suspect that will occur, not because of my stuff, but because of Dick Allgaier and his stuff, right?
The rest that maybe creates that.
That would do it, right? And so if you had that level of action, if we had, the midnight arrest, the night of the long knives, that kind of thing, that would create the release language, and that would propel it forward some number of months. Wouldn't go for a year though that way, because it wouldn't be under control. They wouldn't be hyping it and keeping us unstable and so on. We would come to recognize it, we'd come to grips with it, we would internalize it, and then we'd go on. So maybe that 81 would, if they did the night of the long knives and arrested all these fuckers, and then we had trials and stuff, might go on 6-8 months. But it's not going to be the.
As well.
I'm sorry?
That could kick
Correct.
it off.
Correct. So that's the quandary we're at. What are we looking at, right? Right now, my mind, as well as Dick Allgaier's and his people, think it's going to be an attack. Can we change the future though, right? An individual can change their own future by their own thoughts. can a collective of individuals change the collective future by a collective thinking about things in a certain way? That is unknown. That's our point of uncertainty now. And so it may be that if we got enough of the population, and we have no idea how much that would be, but if we got enough of the population to think about this and view this ahead of time, that it would actually prevent them from doing it, because they would be singled out ahead of time, everybody looking at them, and they wouldn't be able to feel comfortable doing that. It's going to put them in a world of hurt, because they've got to do something. There will have to be some reactions there. But I don't know, Guy. I mean, my stuff I've always thought was
So
open. It was malleable, all right. But Dick and these guys in the remote viewing, they get images like so. Daz remote viewed the Lahaina hit down to the coastline a year and some months ahead of time.
oh my gosh, that's incredible. And what is he seeing as of right now? He can't pin.
I'll let Dick talk to that. He's part of Dick's team. I don't feel comfortable. I'll talk to Dick tomorrow, but you should ask him that, because he'll have drawings and all kinds of stuff to show you, right?
Me and so we can all maybe do a roundtable together. Are you
Sure,
comfortable?
sure. Well, okay, I do that, but I just intrude. You really need to talk to Dick, right?
That's fine with me. However you want to set this up, I'll take the torch and
Okay.
run with
Right. I'll send you an email today, and you can start negotiating with him, and I'll put in a word for you that he should talk to you.
Thank you so much, Cliff.
Sure.
So we're in it. We're heading into, I guess, what we could say a massive event that's going to have a release. So it's tension and then release, tension and then release.
Right.
Looking at right now, we're tension and we're going to come into a release, correct?
Correct. And then here's the thing: when we change, right? When people in the U.S. are seeing that we're winning the war, and we'll use a metric here, okay? You and I will have a little temporal marker here, okay? So our temporal marker is when Kerry Cassidy calms down, okay? So when Kerry Cassidy calms down, that's a shift in a different way, and we're going to have building tension dominate from that point on. I shouldn't get on her case, you know.
That's actually a good marker. All right, I'll go with that.
Okay, so when she calms down, from that point on, we're in a period of time where building tension is going to dominate, and that's good, because we'll have questions about our uncertainty about the ability to rebuild. So we'll have building tension as we go about rebuilding the country, right? And so we're getting close, dude. We're getting real close.
Cliff, thank you so much. You are always a pleasure to have on my program. Please come on more often, please.
Well, now I will be able to, right? I mean, when I get into these, so I've investigated a lot of stuff, and I've done a lot of research for a lot of people, including myself. Now, with some of the research I was doing for some of the people led me to examine some of my own thinking, and that's why I had to take off such a long hiatus, because I had to get deep into it. And I have yet to reveal a lot of the stuff that I've come across. Okay, so I've gotten into shit that you just won't believe, dude. So I found some stuff in Iranian literature, or not Iranian, Persian, and it's even pre-Persian, because it wasn't Persian, the nation state. It was just the people living there, that are talking about the period of time where the Elohim, the space aliens that are in the Torah, they're behind the Old Testament, where those guys had to change their command and control structures in their mind to machine software. Okay, so they had this machine. So it's my opinion that the Elohim came down here to capture humans in order to jack us into these machines and make us into their slaves, because they don't want their minds operating these machines. I don't think their minds can do it. That's another issue. But anyway, so they come down here, they get us, they get all these people, and then they jack them into these machines, and you run these machines. You are the spaceship's control system, and then at some point you die and they get another human. That's how gross this is, right? It's not a pleasant thing to work with these people. But at some point, this ancient society that lived in Iran made notes that they knew that the Elohim had to change the command and control language. Why? Because there was a revolt. There was a rebellion among the humans. And what had they done? They had allowed us to control all the machinery in their entire empire. We were controlling their water pumps, their heating, everything through our minds in this mind to machine interface. We knew the control code so well that when we revolted, everything shut down. What do we
That
call this? What do we call this story today? You know this story. What do we call this story? What I'm telling you now is the root of a story that is so fucking famous that you knew it when you were 5 years old. The Tower of Babel.
oh wow. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
That's why
Interesting.
the confounding of the language.
Wow. That's incredible, man. So that was the end of so we destroyed the program ourselves.
Correct. And
They're
okay, so
realizing that we had control of I guess, of their equipment through our minds, and we revolted and just
we shut them down, right? And that was the point where they had to go around and slaughter humans like mad. Okay, they had to kill.
there again, kind of. We're at that point again in humanity.
Right, we're fighting the same enemy in a sense. The L may still be here in Antarctica. They may be on the moon. I don't know about that, right? But I do know that the mother Weffers worship the L as Satanists worship Satan. Okay, they think of the L in this exact same way that a Satanist thinks of this image of Lucifer.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Oh,
That
also by the way, the Bahopmet, the image, the horned goat, and all of that, and the fingers and stuff. Yeah, that's the L. That's what they look like.
the transgender agenda is really the Elohim.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Jeez.
now the good news. Okay, we're winning. Okay, we're winning everywhere on all different kinds of fronts, little tiny bits at a time. And every time you take a little bit of that foundation away, their footing gets more unsure. Just today, we learned that Washington State University, the doctors are no longer going to prescribe drugs. They're no longer going to do treatments for transgenders. This is a big operation east of the mountains here in my state. The fact that that university's doctors are freaking out to the point where they're not going to do it means it's just the first in a whole series of dominoes. Pretty soon, all these hospitals are saying, fuck, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, okay, so some of this, I don't think that this actually had anything to do with Washington State University, but I got contacted by a guy that said that some of the he was a doctor, and I won't say anything at all about him, but some of the doctors he interacted with had heard somebody, I think on the Woo circuit, talking about the future retribution against these guys. And so they were getting paranoid about their own patients coming back later to off them.
Yes, we've talked about that. Because hello, that's going to be an obvious response. That's going to be the most obvious response. Any doctor that's administering this shit, you better know there's going to be one person at least that's going to want.
Yep.
They're going to
And
come.
also think about the tranny fa. You fuck somebody up by cutting their dick off, or and especially the women, giving them the synthetic hormones, the testosterone. What that does to a woman's mind, they're going to be so unstable,
Yeah, and imagine when they get older and they're older, they're in their 20s, their life is destroyed, and they decide to blame you, the doctor, and come after you. Yeah, the retribution,
Yep.
the revenge. That
Yep.
we haven't seen that yet, and that's coming. Cliff, thank you so much for joining me, man. I'm gonna go on YouTube and tell everybody that we did this interview, and tell them to get over and watch it because this is epic. This is huge. Thank you so much.
Sure. No worries, Guy. I'll send Dick Allgaier your way.
Thank you, Cliff. God bless you. Okay.
Okay, we'll do this again in the future. You take care.
You got it, Cliff. Goodbye.